So we got Kendell Holowell back with us again. He's from Sports Illustrated and the NFL Network. We're going to talk about a few things leading up to this USC Michigan game, some of the things that are really important. The first question I've got for Kendell, think about it when we come back. How many guys is Michigan's defense going to need to send after Jaden Mayava to make him uncomfortable?
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thanks again for making Locked On USC, part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're watching this show on YouTube, you can pick the platform, you can download this podcast. This show will be free, and this show is always going to appreciate your support. And this episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward, Mazda Move and Be Moved. Kendell, welcome back to the show. Thanks again. Hope you had a great week. I hope you're looking forward to this game against Michigan.
Absolutely. Yeah. Appreciate you having me on. It's always a pleasure getting to talk with you.
Anytime, man. And again, everybody, when you're not watching this episode, you can find Kendell over there at Sports Illustrated and
USC Trojans. Yeah, USC Trojans on SI. Yes.
There you go. And
it's all in. Say it again.
Oh, I was going to say, you also have a role at the NFL Network, right?
I do. Yes, I work in TV production over there for them. So yeah, double dipping a little bit.
There you go. So again, Kendell's back. We're going to tell you everything everyone needs to know about this weekend's game against the Wolverines. So, my man, let's start in the trenches.
Yes.
Is 4 guys enough for Wink Martindale and that Wolverine defense to make Jaden's life miserable?
It hasn't so far for anybody.
Okay.
I know that it's going to be a little bit different. I think we're still waiting on the availability of Elijah Page, obviously going forward at left tackle, and that will adjust whether we got Tobias Raymond at guard or at tackle, and who's at right tackle, who's at left tackle. Obviously, John Ray Reed will be there in at center with Killian O'Connor out for a couple weeks. But again, even still with that kind of mismatch line against Michigan State, a little bit of tackles, and then obviously Killian O'Connor going down against Illinois, that didn't affect the team's ability to get after them because they've done a really, really good job this year on the offensive line. I know that was kind of a little bit of a concern going into the year based off the guys that they lost. 3 of their 5 starters obviously gone from a year ago. And kind of figuring out like what it's going to look like. But Zach Hansen's done a phenomenal job with that unit, and not even just the first unit, but the second unit has looked very good as well. And you can really see the depth and just the offensive line. So again, nobody's got to him with 4 people yet, and I would suspect that you would need a blitz to get after him.
Yeah. So I know one of the concerns, and you brought it up, is Elijah Page. Is he going to be available? That's going to dictate, not just what USC does, but also what Michigan plans to do.
Yeah.
You heard what the general, John Ray Reed, had to say after practice this week. Do you think being in a better spot? So in other words, was that game against Illinois, was that just pregame, was that kind of being thrown into the fire jitters? Or was it more of what he talked about after practice where it's like, hey, you know what? I'm still learning. There's a lot USC playbook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he didn't play bad against Illinois. Obviously, the illegal man down the field is always a play that sticks out in people's minds. I know you had your own personal gripe with it, just the call and all that kind of stuff. But just going back, and I talked about it a little bit on my Twitter, and kind of going back and watching some of the first 2 games. I know they were a group of 5 opponents, right? They're Missouri State and Georgia Southern, but I thought he played very well in those games, particularly as a run blocker. I think that's where his biggest strength is, for his ability to really get to the second level. And that's going to be huge for the run game in general. But he's not a young guy. Coach Riley talked about it too on Tuesday. Like, he's not a young guy, right? He started 25 games the past 2 years at Syracuse. And it did take him a little bit while. I think that's part of the reason why he didn't win the starting job. Obviously, Killian has his own part in that, and the way that he's done and his dedication and everything that he's done to earn that job. But also, John Ray Reed also probably just not being available. I mean, that's not available, but not knowing the offense as well as not, kind of getting up to speed. And it does take a while, right? Regardless of how many games you play somewhere else or your kind of experience, it does take a little while to get acclimated. But I think he's going to be just fine. He's an experienced guy. He's smart. Obviously, you've had 2 weeks to prepare, which is huge. So I think he's going to be just fine out there on Saturday.
Yeah, you brought up, the running game, and I think that's going to be very integral in what happens with this game. We know that USC can pass protect. They've kept Jade Mayaba pretty clean all season long so far. 4 sacks through 5 games. One of those sacks.
Is it 4 or is it less?
I believe it's 4.
I don't think that. Is it 4? Because he had 1 going into the Illinois game. I don't know. I might have double check. I don't know if it's at 4, but even regardless, yeah.
USC has been protecting him very well. I know it's not more than 4. The number maybe it might be 3. I'm pretty sure it's. Anyways, we know USC's O-line can pass protect. They've done a fantastic job all year. Mm-hmm. You brought up genre and being able to run block. So we know that Michigan's that's their identity. That's what they want to do. Is Lincoln Riley going to lean into that run game, or is he going to try and just do what USC does best?
I mean, I hope they run the ball. That's obviously the hope going in. I hope that they do, and they've done a really good job of being balanced this year. I kind of think that I think that they should run the ball like 5 or 6 times to open the game. I really hope they have some kind of variation like that. Their opening drive, whether it's 8 plays, 9 plays, I hope that about 70% of those are run plays just to set a tone, right? I mean, Illinois talked about it a couple weeks ago about being physical and quote unquote, I mean, basically calling USC soft going into the game. And so is Michigan kind of going into this one too. Just, it's a West Coast team. They're still not ready to play in the Big Ten. And I think you kind of have to send a message. I think that's big for your players. That's going to be big for what you do to Michigan. And I think you really have to get it going. Because remember last year they had it was negative 16 yards rushing in that first half. It was atrocious. And obviously it wasn't Woody Marks and Quentin Joyner having negative 16 yards. Obviously the sacks count against rushing yards in college football, which is a huge thing. I mean, regardless, it's in the negatives. Like that's terrible. So they really need to get that going early on. And I think, again, that's going to take pressure off of Jaden. That's going to obviously eliminate some of the pass rush because of what you have to do against the run. But you have to get these guys going. And it has to be that first drive. I really, really hope they lean into that run game and kind of stick with it going forward.
Absolutely. I mean, last year, I believe Woody Marks had 100 yards rushing against Michigan. A lot of it.
He really got going in the second half. Yeah, one run too. Yeah, in the third quarter.
Right. And that's what I think is going to be real important is that Lincoln Riley can lean into that run game and know he can get explosive chunk plays out of Waymo, out of Eli Sanders. And why not King Miller for, all intents and purposes? We know he can do it as well.
You're running a lot of split backs, so you got to use those. Yeah, you might as well throw them in there every once in a while.
Right. So we understand that USC is explosive on offense. We know that they can throw the ball around. Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane seems to be healthier. The tight ends are now involved. Even Michigan's head coach Sharon Moore said that's an explosive offense. They can hurt us in a multitude of ways. But let's go to the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
So we heard what Coach Lynn had to say after practice the other day, and let me just read the quote. It all starts up with the front, adding that the unit needs to be more physical and consistent compared to what they were against Illinois. We have to be able to stop the run, have to be able to affect the quarterback. When you're not doing those things, it makes it hard to protect the other areas of the field. It all starts right there. That group has to set the tone every week. So I totally get where Coach Lynn is coming from. I think everybody agrees the defensive line played like baby diaper against Illinois. I mean, it was ugly. It was gross.
Yeah.
I also just caught a whiff there at the end of what Coach Lynn said, that to protect other areas of the field. I think he was saying, without saying it, if we want our secondary to look better, the guys up front have to do their job more consistently. So what do you want to add to this as far as the defensive line and what they're going up against with Michigan?
Yeah, they do need him, especially like you said, that last part right there to help, because they're not going to drastically get him better in 2 weeks. One, you haven't any live game reps to get better on that. Who knows how much, again, live stuff they were doing in during the bye week. I'm sure they were doing plenty and stuff like that, but I'm sure it was an enormous amount for them to make tremendous strides. And again, that's the part we talked about last week, that how it kind of covered up the problem a little bit in the secondary. We saw glimpses of it, that they were struggling. But then obviously when no pass rush and no defensive line shows up, got exposed in that back end. But then as far as just physicality up front, same thing. You got to set that tone from that first drive. Michigan had it was like 290 yards rushing last year, and I know 2 of them came on a couple big runs, but still those things happened, and they were able to pick up yards kind of when they wanted a little bit in the run game last year. The interior line, the spotlight is on those guys: Silver, Tompkins, Stewart, like everybody, like the whole defensive line. Jade, yes, exactly. Cam, Braylon, Anthony Lucas, like the edges, like it's all on those guys. Like the best players on Saturday have to be that group. Those 7, 8, 9, how many guys ever they're going to play at the defensive line, because it is a lot, which is also a big thing this year that they didn't have, especially the depth last year.
Right.
Exactly. So they have that. Those have to be the best players on Saturday. When we talk about the end of the game, USC won, and you talk about the MVPs of the games, it's got to be those names that come up. All those guys I just listed on the defensive line, those have to be the names because that's going to help out the second level guys, obviously, because Illinois, the center and the guard, all the interior guys, were getting to Gentry and Stevens so easily. And that's why you started to see some of those runs, because there's just no defense in front of them. The defensive line was getting pushed off the ball. Can't happen again on Saturday. If it does, this running back group is better. They're going to see their best 2 sets of running backs over these next 2 weeks. And you got to set the tone. It's got to be very, very early.
So I guess the last question I'll ask about before we close out this segment, we know USC's defensive line, at least on paper, it's deeper. Yeah. It's better than last year. Is Michigan's O-line in 2025 better than their offensive line in 2024? So have the scales been balanced, so to speak?
I don't know if I don't want to say that they're worse. It's the same thing with the defensive line, Michigan's defensive line. Obviously, they don't have Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant and Josiah Stewart who just wreak havoc on USC and everybody. I know they don't have those. Yeah, I know they don't have those guys, but they do have good players. They have very good players. Like they can obviously affect them on both sides of the ball. I don't want to say that they're lesser on the offensive line. They definitely have a better running back. That's for sure. And no disrespect to Mullings and Edwards. Like they were good. They were good players. They ran all over USC last year. But right. Justice Haynes is significantly better than those guys, and that's where it's going to come in. If they lean into Justice very early, and they could see in those kind of first 2 drives that they're able to push USC around, he could go for 170 yards, and it could be done with ease, and they can control the time of possession. It takes everything off of Bryce Underwood, and we're really going to know in those first 2 drives what USC is about on the defensive line, and what if they're the thing about like hearing them talk this week. Especially the defensive players, is they're so over talking about the Illinois game. And I understand, because one, that was 2 weeks ago, and that's the lasting impression. And obviously they can't escape everything that you see and hear and all that, especially in this day and age of social media and everything that's out there. You can't escape everything. And just hearing them talk this week, they're so over that game, and they're just ready. They're really ready to prove themselves. And again, talk is one thing and stuff like that. You have to go and show up and actually do it. And I think that they can. They've shown it the first 4 weeks, and they certainly have the guys to do it. But they are just like seeing and hearing from them. They're like, they get the question about an Illinois game, about something about the past. And they're like, Michigan, we're on to Michigan. Like, we got to show ourselves. We got to prove ourselves. And it was on their mind all offseason, and it showed up in the first 4 games. And then kind of all that went away against Illinois. And they're very, very eager to get back to what they were before.
All right. Well, line in the sand. What is the most yards that Justice Haynes can get on the ground, but USC can still come out on the winning end?
Low 100s. I think he's going to get his. I think he's just that. I think he's just that good of a player.
If he holds him to 150 or less, that probably works to USC's advantage.
Yes, and it also depends on what Bryce looks like too. If it's like a 150 and a well-balanced Bryce Underwood, then that's a problem. But if it's just like an okay to a good Bryce Underwood, and then Justice Hayes gets like 90 to 120 and stuff like that.
If he needs 30 or 35 carries to get to 150 or whatever.
Oh, then that's fine. Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, exactly. If you have 35 carries and 100 yards, I'm like, go ahead. That's 3 yards. That's barely over 3 yards a carry. I'm like, go for that. Whatever that 100 gets out to. Yeah.
Go beat yourself up.
But they even if the defensive line, I think you have to have so many. I think it's a big thing is like you have to have plays that don't show up on the stat sheet for your defensive line. It's okay if like the numbers don't pop out against us. Like, oh, Jakeem only had 2 tackles and stuff like that. And that's going to be a big thing for everybody on the internet and stuff like that. Only had 2 tackles, but he affected the plays. Like, that's got to be the stuff that happens to allow these second level defenders, because Gentry's a very good tackler. Stevens has been a good tackler. Hopefully Jaden Walker gets in a little bit there. He's been good. Christian Pierce has been good, really tackling the back end. So they have good guys. And that was obviously an issue under Alex Grinch back in the day, right? Or just a couple of years ago, that they were getting past the front line of defense and have guys that can make tackles behind him. They have that this year. And if you pair that with a dominant defensive front that can push guys back and make it harder on them, then that's where you'll get Michigan a little bit frustrated, and you really put the game. I know it's a weird thing to say, to put the game in Bryce Underwood's arm. You know, he's the number 1 recruit.
I've been saying it lately. No, that's how you beat Michigan. Make the freshman beat you. Yeah.
And they did it last year, right? Alex Orji only had a 37 passing yards last year, and sometimes they couldn't get off the field on third down because he would go and scramble for a first down on 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 9. But if you can contain and all that kind of stuff, it's Bryce Underwood. I think is going to be a very, very good player, but you have to make him beat you.
Absolutely. And I'm sure for these last couple of weeks, Coach Lynn has been dialing up some stuff, going down in the basement and saying, how am I going to confuse that young man? So I guess we'll find out.
He's very creative. I think that's very underrated about him. He's very, very creative in his blitzes. And I kind of highlighted it a little bit a couple weeks ago that they're using Shelby and Anthony Lucas as interior linebackers on blitzing situations. And it's caused a problem. Like, nobody's been able to defend it because, right, you got Cam and Jakeem Stewart, or whoever you want to put there at edge rushing. And then you got a really good guys in Lucas and Shelby, or whoever you want to put there in the interior that can, get a head start, and they're a little bit creative, whether it's like, a dog blitz or off the edge or kind of just down the middle, whatever you want to call them. They're very, very good at that. That didn't show up at all against Illinois. I don't know if necessarily they didn't call them as much, or they also didn't execute them as much. But if they get back to that, then they can really cause some problems.
All right. Got a couple more segments to go here. Next segment, we're going to talk about how big of a game this is. I mean, the impact. It's not just about winning this game and the impact that'll have. There's a bigger picture. We're going to talk about that coming up next. It's almost the weekend, which means it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. So I'm going to break it down. Unfortunately, USC had a bye week. There's nothing to break down as far as what they did. What we're looking for is for the guys, especially the defensive line, those guys to move people around. And, if you get after the quarterback and sack him a few times, that will also move the game forward. And it will also help you maybe want to order something from DoorDash. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. You can stack it up all season, and you can also save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. So order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period will run through November 18th. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for a kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers, if you got $5 and you can bet that $5 and your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets that you can use across the entire FanDuel app. You're going to love using FanDuel because it fits however you want to bet. You like doing player prop bets. You like doing that same game parlay. Maybe you just want to jump into the action live as it's unfolding. You can do all that at FanDuel. So you're ready to play. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com. Get started right away. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, so Kendell, we know this is a huge game for a multitude of reasons. I mean, USC wins. Obviously, their playoff goal is still ahead of them. If they win this game, I think you finally start to shut up some of the naysayers who want to see Lincoln Riley beat a nationally ranked team and do it physically. Plus, you have all the momentum that heading into South Bend a week later. You're playing Notre Dame. All those things matter. But then there's a bigger picture. Where you step back, you look around and say, oh, the future, recruiting. We know this game is sold out. The environment is going to be crazy. I mean, it's going to be Spinal Tap on steroids. I mean, it seems like every single recruit from the 2026 recruiting class is going to be there.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I mean, short and sweet. Explain to the fans, how important is it to have a good showing? It's not just about winning or losing. I mean, explain to the fans, best case, worst case scenario with what's going on here with that game against Michigan.
Yeah, I think I think the crowd, just like the environment, that's like the number one thing that you hear recruits talking about after a game. It's like, oh, the environment was crazy. The fans were this, the fans were that. The place was jumping, all that. So I think that part of it is huge. But just as far as like recruits and stuff like that, I don't think this game is going to affect the 26 class at all. I think those guys are really, really locked in. I know that's been a point of concern, especially after the Illinois game. Like, what's that going to look like if they kind of lose a few games here? I don't think, again, I haven't talked to them personally about this and stuff like that, just kind of going into the Michigan game. But, I mean, these kids are locked in, right? I think they view themselves as the missing pieces. They see themselves, they see the vision. They know what the program can be beyond with them on campus. But this is all about the 27 class. You have to have a big showing for those guys. You have to impress those guys as you're a team that's, not only, ready to compete in the Big Ten as, one of the perennials, like, up there with Ohio States and all that kind of stuff, but that you're a nationally contender team, right? Because that's the thing that these California kids, because there's going to be a lot of California kids there, that they want to stay home. Like everybody you hear them talk about that they grew up USC fans, like they all want to stay home, but you want to stay home and play for a team contender. And you want to see that. And you see that by what the team puts out there on Saturday. Like you said, this is obviously huge for Lincoln Riley and his resume versus ranked teams and kind of his standing with USC and in terms of what he's done here at USC. But you got to win the game. There's one thing that the kids will talk about the environment. Oh, it was fun being in Los Angeles. It's fun doing this and that and picturing myself, but you got to win the game. You got to show them something. And again, this is about the 27 class. You have to show them something. I think if they go out there and win, and it's a very, very good environment, that we'll start seeing some commitments start to come in, and I think they'll start taking some of them.
No, you raise a really good point. That this does have an effect on the 2027 class that they're recruiting right now. Mm-hmm. But I think short term, you got to keep an eye on the 2026 guys as well, especially the elite members.
The elite ones, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Because look, Lincoln Riley, Chad Bowden, House of Victory, which we're talking about NIL. You can only sell that vision for so long. Eventually, you have to back it up on the field, and especially on that defensive side of the ball. Look, USC is going to have a quarterback in their backyard from now until the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Skill position players are never an issue at USC. But in today's era of college football, it's about the trenches. It's about toughness. It's about finding the right type of player to fit your system. And again, USC recruited that 2026 class. It's number one in the country right now. Everyone said, fall apart. The only way this class falls apart is if USC starts to fall apart on the second half of the season. Yeah. Illinois, we have to hope that was a one-off, where it's just, what?
Like a Jurassic fall off. Like the season ends like how it was last year.
Lose against Michigan, lose badly against Notre Dame, come back home, get another bye week, go out to Nebraska, lose again. Now all of a sudden, we're saying
that changes everything.
Yeah.
There's only so much that the NIL money can do, and again, like they'll get just not just throwing out the big names. Obviously, Mark Bowman, Hill, and stuff like that. Like they have suitors, like big suitors. Like they will, like these. There's plenty of schools that will back up the Brinks trucks for them, and I'm just pointing them out because those are the highest rated guys in the class and stuff like that. Again, like I think that's a big point that you said. There's only so much of the vision that you can sell. It's very, very big in January and February and March that this is the direction that the program is going. This is what LA football looks like. This is what USC football looks like. But then when you start to get to the season and the W's and the L's start to stack up against each other, it's going to tell everything. And again, like this is everything for them. Like we said, everybody's going to this game. The 20 you mentioned, everybody from the 26 class is going to the game. Everybody from the 27 class is going to this game. This is everything for the program. This is a defining moment in the program on Saturday.
I said it on a previous episode, and I even wrote about it over there at wearesc.com. This might be Lincoln Riley's biggest game of his career. And people are like, no, Mark, that's hyperbolic. It might be hyperbole a little bit, But when you think about everything, again, year 4, game 6, 4.5 years in, you've got to be able to say, hey, look, I've turned the page. This program is heading in the right direction. Everything that I've been talking about, trying to get to, we're now there. You can't keep saying that year after year after year. You have to do it. Yeah. And the recruits, like you said, they want to believe that you got showing them. Otherwise, you fight tooth and nail to get the Talanoa Elis of the world, and they're like, well, maybe we got some time to think about it. Don't forget, you have the first early signing period. You still have the February signing period. That's still around. Yes. So I'm not trying to be a doom and gloomer right now, but this game has a lot is riding on this game. I hate to put that pressure on it, but
it is. This is what you sign up for. This is USC football. This is what Lincoln Riley came out here to do. He knows what it is. And I would agree with you that this is the biggest, at least I know they played in the Pac-12 championship game is the one that people would point to because they had a chance to go to college football playoff.
Right.
I mean, this is because of where they're at in his career and where they're at in his tenure at USC, right? Like you said, this is year 4. They still haven't made the playoffs since. They had the 7-6 season last season. It's been a drop in the win column ever since he's been at USC. And it's also the way that they've lost in these games again. And then all that came together in the Illinois game. You gotta get it done. This is it. And I think he knows it. I think the players know it too. And we'll see. We'll see. I have high hopes. I have high expectations, and I have a strong belief in them that they'll be ready, especially after these past couple of weeks and kind of just seeing in their eyes and hearing the way that they talk. And again, talk is one thing, but you could kind of feel it a little bit with them. I felt like being around some of the players these past couple of weeks. Again, they know it, and you got to go show it on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll give our final score predictions in the next segment before we do our Friday rant. But I look at it. This game's going to go one of two ways. It's going to be either really close. And I'm not saying a win if it's a close game, but it could also end up being a USC blowout. I mean, that's where this thing kind of teeter-totters right now.
Yeah.
And I really wish I could lean into that. It's going to be a blowout. But again, we'll know after the first quarter how the tone is being set. Is USC ready to play this game, or do they look like what happened against Illinois? We'll talk about that coming up next. This episode is brought to you by Mazda, moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds. They move the culture. They keep moving the game forward. This week's moment is about what has to happen on Saturday. The Trojans have had 2 weeks to prepare for Michigan. The D-line, the secondary, they need to turn up the volume on that Bose premium sound system and just take control. Let everybody know we are here. This is our house. We're going to do it our way. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, Kendell, before we get to our Friday rants, let's give a quick final score prediction. As I said, I could see it close. I could see it being a Trojan blowout. Just thinking Riley's like, you know what? I'm ticked off at the world. I'm going to show everybody. I get the score 50. I'm going to make that former school that Jim Harbaugh used to coach at say, what's your deal? If you're old enough, you understand what that is all about.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've said it earlier in the week. I'm going to stick with the score. I got USC 31, Michigan 27. How do you see this thing unfolding?
Oh, close. I said 31-24.
Okay.
I think it's right. I think it's going to come down to the wire again. I think that they're going to slug it out for 3 7/8 quarters and kind of who has the ball, I think, in the last 6 minutes and kind of how that plays out and what the score is. But I'm going 31-24. And I'll say this I know this is a thing that's been a thing for people talking about on Twitter. I would love to see Lincoln Riley defer one time when they win the coin toss, or if they win the coin toss. I would love for them to start on defense one of these games. I understand it, one, because he's an offensive guy. You kind of want to set the tone offense and go in, I know that's a big thing on the road and stuff like that, but I would love for them to start on defense one of these games, just to have the ball coming out of the second half, whatever adjustments you make, kind of carrying the momentum, whatever is going on in the game. I think just having the ball first in the second half, just one of these weeks. I'll ask you for one of these weeks that they start on defense and Lincoln Riley defers.
Yeah, look, I think we're probably thinking the same thing. It's going to be a tight game. Mm-hmm. However, if USC can get up early, get that 10, 14-point lead, jump on Michigan, all of a sudden now Michigan's got to get out of their comfort zone. Yeah, they'll still want to run the ball. However, I think they're going to have to throw the ball more frequently because you have to be able to keep up with USC if they're scoring. And I don't know if Michigan is built to do that. So we'll see what happens. I think you're right. It'll probably be a close game. Hopefully USC will pull away in the second half. But I can see this thing turning into a blowout and Lincoln Riley saying, let me show you how big of a jerk I can be and how many points I can put up on the board.
There's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of talk going back and forth. And I know Illinois has some stuff to say. And obviously, Sherman Moore, we all heard his comments. And I don't know if you saw it, I love Lincoln Riley's response when he was asked, what did you think about Moore saying that the game is sold out because of Michigan? He said, I don't care what he says. I love that. I love that he said that. That was awesome. They are locked in, and hopefully it shows up on Saturday.
Agreed. Absolutely. All right. You're the guest. I'm going to give you first shot. What's been bugging you? What do you need to get off your What are you rant about right now?
Here we go. All right. This is big for everybody listening, that's especially in California. I spend a lot of time on the road. I don't live in LA, and obviously my work is in LA, and whether it's going to USC or going out to NFL Network, so I'm on the road a lot. I need people that are driving slow in the left lane to get out of it. I'm not going to say I'm not a reckless driver, but I do drive, kind of fast. I mean, a little bit. Yeah. I like this.
People don't see.
Exactly. I step on exactly all those points. I step on the gas pedal a little bit. Haven't got never got a speeding ticket, knock on wood, obviously, never got one. But I cannot stand it. I cannot tell you how much it drives me crazy, especially in the mornings and stuff like that. When I'm driving in the left lane and I look down and I'm going 62 because the car in front of me that's in the far left lane is going 55 miles an hour and they're not moving at all. Like, that's affecting everybody. And then when I worked and I try to work to get around cars, and then I finally get around them and I see that car in the left lane finally turn into the right. I'm not gonna say I have massive road rage, but I am a very, very frustrated driver for the most part all the time. And a lot of that has to do with that, just the way the cars are just, I'm like, you gotta go. There's 5-6 lanes. You gotta get over. Just get out of the way. There's people trying to go. And again, also you're in the carpool lane. I know that's a one lane. You cannot be going the speed limit in the carpool lane. You got to go. That's a one lane. If you are a bus or a truck or, especially an 18-wheeler or any of those kind of things, you cannot be in the left lane and be driving slow. You got to get going. That's a one lane. I cannot. No, this driving stuff drives me insane, and I need people to start going.
I feel your pain because I'm right there with you. I do a lot of driving between California and Arizona, so trust me, I get it. Especially when I'm on the Tannin, that 2-lane highway out there in the desert.
Yeah,
I've talked about this before in my own rant. The 18-wheelers, anyways.
Yeah, you got to be in one lane. That should be. I don't know why that's not a law or something like that.
Don't get me started. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
You cannot take up all 3 lanes.
One of these days, I am going to just take a tape recorder, put it in the car, turn it on, and let people listen to what comes out of my mouth when I'm driving. Because
yes, no, I understand that. They're not gonna. It won't be PG rated. I can guarantee you that.
17, possibly bordering on X.
Yeah.
So a little bit along the same lines as you, because you're trying to get someplace. You want to be on time. You got a job to do.
Yes.
So I'm a big proponent of, if you're not early, you're late. Okay. I'm a big proponent of discipline. If you say you're going to do something, do it. And if you say it's going to be at this time of the day and on this day, be consistent.
Oh, you got me going.
Well,
you got you.
I know somebody who has a meeting set every week, supposed to be on a certain day at a certain time. And I get some, stuff happens. You have to make adjustments every now and then. But it seems like we're making an adjustment every single week.
Yeah.
You want to get to practice on time. You know what time the coaches are supposed to speak. You allocate time to be there. Sometimes you start on time. Sometimes you start 45 minutes earlier than anticipated.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. So, and again, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not saying it's anything into any one individual. I can make an effort to be disciplined, to be at a certain place at a certain time, account for LA traffic.
Yeah.
Know that I've got LA traffic to deal with afterwards as well. I think just a little common courtesy would, from the people who are setting the meeting times.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
No, I understand. I completely understand that. I'm the same way with kind of the same basis when it comes to like, I guess just like hanging out with my friends and stuff like that, because I always give them the time. I give them the choice to make the time. I'm like, whether we're going to, we're grabbing food, we're going somewhere. I'm like, what day time works for you, and I'll make that work. And it's always that either I'm a big don't text me don't text me the day of. Don't ask me the day of to go do something. Like, do not. If the answer is no, you got to let me know. Preferably at least like 2 days in advance. You got to let me know. And again, so I like to do stuff like most of the time, like if I'm doing something like with my friends, especially like, the older you get, especially just like with me, the older I get, the more I'm, I guess the less time you have. Yeah, exactly. So like, I like to do it, pretty a good time in advance and stuff like that, especially if, whoever I'm doing it with has like their schedule and they kind of know what it's going to look like. So we'll do like the week of, and then like a couple days, I'll be like, all right, we're still good with this time doing this. Yes, it's always yes, always that. And then the day of, and I'm telling you, it's like within like an hour, oh man, I'm late, or oh, I can't do it anymore, and this and that. And I understand when stuff comes up. I don't get mad if like something comes up and, obviously a family emergency or something like that. But if it's something like small, I'm like, are you serious? Because like, again, like I branched out a part of my day and all that. We all are busy and stuff like that. And I branched out a part of my day or something like that to specifically do something because you set the time and the place. And again, I gave you multiple chances on the time leading up to it. And then the day of, and or the hour leading up to it, all that changes. And like nothing drives me crazy. I give people, this is me. I give people 2 chances for as far as me, like reaching out to them to go and hang out and stuff like that. If after like 2 chances again, because again, stuff comes up and all that, but after 2 chances, it becomes like an issue and it's like something like always comes up, then I'm just not going to text you anymore. Like it's not any beef or anything like that. We can still hang out and we can still be friends and all that. Like, that doesn't change. That doesn't change that part, but I'm not going to be reaching out to you anymore. You're just not going to hear from me on that part.
I hear you loud and clear. There's times where I think I'm a little anal retentive when it comes to that. In other words, if I know I'm traveling and I know I have, a trip 3 weeks, 4 weeks down the line, I'm not going to book my flight and my hotel 3 days before because one, I can't afford it, and 2, who does that? But I know people do that. I can't live that way.
No, it's insane. Like I am so big on setting everything like a good distance in advance. Like again, so like obviously we're Notre Dame is next week, so I'm spending the weekend in Chicago before I go up to South Bend and stuff like that. And I have friends in Chicago, and I let them know, like literally as soon as I book it, I'm like, hey, just so you don't get mad or anything like that, like that, just giving you time in advance. I'm like, here's the windows I have, letting you know now. If you want to make something happen or make something work, then that's that this is where I'm at. So like again, I'm putting it out there way in advance, like it's set. That's so big on me. I get very, very frustrated when plans change last minute.
Yeah, trust me. We see things.
We're taking, yeah, exactly. I see why we're gelling so much. We're seeing things every time on the rants. We're always seeing eye to eye.
There you go, Kendell. You know what we're doing? This show we're done. I mean, we've gone a little bit over time, and that's fine. It's been a great show. I think we're going to have you on again if you don't mind. So keep your
always.
All right.
I'm always available. Yeah.
For me, the fans are also enjoying it. So when they talk, I listen. Hopefully.
Yeah. It's always a pleasure. I'm very, very grateful every time you let me come on.
Well, thank you, Kendell. So you've been great on the show. You're a wealth of knowledge. So everybody's learning every time you're here. We'll be back. I will be back in with another episode after the game. I'm not sure what time. My instant reaction. It'll either be fun or it's going to be one of those types of games where set your tape recorder up and listen for the fun, because I don't know where I'm going to go if USC loses another game the same way they've been losing all these games. This, like I said, USC has to win this game for a variety of reasons, and Lincoln Riley has a lot to prove. He's going to be the coach when USC goes to Notre Dame, but this game is going to tell everybody a lot. Is USC ready to play this type of football in the big conference? Because that's what they signed up for.
Yep.
Until then, everyone, you know what to do.